Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Ishan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling you in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines we're tracking right now. The NDA government lists its achievements as the government completes 1 year in office, reiterates commitment to carry out land and tax reform, but opposition accuses the government of betrayal and non-fulfillment of promises. AIADMK Supremo J. Jayalalitha set to take oath as Tamil Nadu Chief Minister tomorrow after party MLAs elect her as legislative party leader. Home Ministry issues notification backing Delhi Lieutenant Governor. Chief Minister Kejriwal hits back, accusing the centre of trying to rule the capital through the back door. And the European Union agrees on a €1.8 billion loan to cash-strapped Ukraine, defies Russia's objections to hosting 6 ex-Soviet neighbours in the summit. Our top story this evening, the NDA government has reiterated its commitment towards a corruption-free and growth-oriented governance. Addressing a press conference on the completion of 1 year in power, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley listed several achievements of the Modi government and also took a dig at the opposition for their criticism of its various policies.
A very important highlight of this government has been to give a corruption-free administration to this country. सरकारी और राजनीतिक भ्रष्टाचार से देश को मुक्ति मिलेगी, ये जो आम नागरिक की इच्छा है, वो हमने 1 वर्ष में करके दिखाया है.
Addressing a press conference on completion of 1 year of the Narendra Modi-led NDA government in power, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley reiterated his government's commitment to corruption-free governance. He also listed various achievements, including new schemes launched in the social sector, and expressed government's commitment to GST and the land acquisition bill, besides promising more funds for rural development and infrastructure.
There is absolute clarity with regard to the direction in which the government wants to go. और वो जो दिशा है, that direction is towards growth and development. और उसके लिए जितने निर्णय हो सकते हैं, मैं पूरी लिस्ट आपको दिखाने वाला नहीं हूं, आप में से अधिकतर लोग उससे अवगत हैं. एक रेगुलर इंटरवल्स पे, almost on a daily or a weekly basis, decisions are being taken in the direction which will augment growth and promote development.
Jaitley also criticized Congress for its opposition to reform measures like GST and amendments to the land acquisition law.
जो लोग उस तेज गति से परेशान हैं, वो स्वाभाविक इसके आलोचक भी हैं कि ऑर्डिनेंस क्यों लाए, मनी बिल क्यों लाए, धीरे धीरे निर्णय चलने दीजिए. लेकिन देश का भी आज मिजाज है कि ये देश धीमी गति को स्वीकार करने को तैयार नहीं है.
Finance Minister also said that NDA government has put in a lot of efforts towards cooperative federalism, and as a result, regional parties have expressed their support on several issues. Jaitley also listed government's priorities for the next year, which include passage of GST and land acquisition bill, completion of stalled projects in the infrastructure sector, and simplifying business procedure at entry point. Vishal Daya, Rajya Sabha TV, Delhi.
And Arun Jaitley's praise for his government notwithstanding, the opposition has hit out at the Modi government for failing to keep its promises. There was also criticism for the Prime Ministers for many foreign tours in the last 1 year.
Modi Sarkar's 1 year is not great in performance, but I believe, we should wait for 1 more year to actually rate them, because till now it is only a process of image building that I see. Till now there is only a process of foreign tours that we see. Till now we see only the process of election speeches being repeated either in parliament or elsewhere. There is no real action or real strategy laid out as to the development of the country.
Arun Jaitley should be tendering an apology on behalf of Narendra Modi and his government for the betrayal of the people and non-fulfillment of the promises.
I think the government has lost a very good opportunity with the mandate that they received a year ago. Exactly 12 months have passed by and the government really has not fulfilled any of its promises. You look at the cost of food items, the inflation is still not manageable. 8 times the price of diesel and petrol has been increased in the last 1 year. Look at the situation at the LOC, whether it's the Pakistan border or the Chinese border. There is a sense of insecurity. And most importantly, I think nothing has been done by this government for the middle classes and for the agrarian poor, people who live in villages.
And we're joined by Mahua Chatterjee, Assistant Editor at the Times of India, to help us understand the government strategy, Mahua, as far as this 1 year in government is concerned, of 1 year of the NDA government. We saw the Finance Minister come out and say that corruption-free and development-oriented growth, and the growth mantra seems to be the really big thing that the government has on its agenda.
See, you can't. The general theme of criticism has been that the Narendra Modi government has not been able to do as much as it has been saying that it would do. See, that's all because, you know, the campaign, the election campaign was so high-pitched that it was as if the delivery system would be very fast-paced. But
right.
If you look at it realistically, there is a little bit of truth in what Mr. Arun Jaitley, the finance minister, has been saying and what he has said today, that you know, the government is on the growth path. You can't fault them on for not trying to be on the growth path. What they've done is, knowing probably full well that it's not going to be very easy going on the path that they are trying to take. They've started it right on day one in a way. Well, I don't know really whether it'll work better that way, or whether, you know, it would be better to go at a little slower pace, like in cases of the land acquisition bill and things like that.
Right.
But well, in their wisdom, they did think that to start from day one would be a good idea, because then whenever they achieve it would be as early as they can in the given the 5-year term.
All right,
but so that I think from the government's point of view, it's a very good attitude to take.
But the opposition, of course, has been up in arms, and the opposition, the Congress especially, has found itself a little reinvigorated, if I may use that word, after Rahul Gandhi's hiatus and his comeback. The opposition seems geared up, and the one tag that constantly they attack the government with is anti-poor, anti-farmer, crony capitalism. So do you think from the government's perspective, these tags would be becoming a concern? Because, I mean, remember the last NDA government, and that entire India shining thing was the one factor that was ultimately attributed to the downfall. So do you see this government heading that way as well?
See, it is a concern. There's no doubt about it. Whether the government accepts it or not formally, it is a concern. It has been a concern, because of which the last national executive that the BJP, the ruling party, had in Bangalore in the beginning of April, which was sort of the first proper national executive meeting after the government came in, was entirely about this. The whole the three-day meeting there was all about an image makeover to look like a government for the poor. Therefore, if the government is consciously, if the ruling party is consciously trying to do this, if the government is consciously trying to wear that jacket, then surely somewhere they have realized that that message has not gone down, or the message has gone wrong somewhere. But the fact that they are trying to correct it, and they seem confident about getting to do it, but they'll probably need a little bit more of a time. And as far as the opposition from Congress is concerned, I think they're rightly doing their job. It's a good thing that they've woken up as an opposition party, because, you know, even 6 months later, they were like almost still in their sleep, still hadn't gotten over the shock.
Right.
And it's a good think that, because an active opposition is a very important element of governance, polity and everything in this country, and that's how it should be, whether the government likes it or not. I'm sure even they know.
Right. All right, so Mahua, final question. As far as the rating the government is concerned, you've covered the BJP for a long time. You've known them when they've been in opposition. You've known Narendra Modi as the Chief Minister of Gujarat. How would you rate him as the Prime Minister of India? And how would you rate the NDA government till now?
Well, I don't think I think it's very early to rate them, really. Because it's only 1 year, and I definitely feel this 1 year is a media compulsion which has been transferred onto the government to celebrate. But then they are a new government. For the first time, the BJP has come into government with a full majority in its history. So, well, they too have reason to celebrate. But then it's too early to rate them. But still, I would say that if you put a scale of 1 to 10, they would be around 6 at least, and looking like doing better in the next year, but all because their initiatives have just begun.
Right.
You have to give them time. Actually, this is no time to rate them. That 6 could easily fall back to 4, because
it's that fluid a scenario.
Yeah, it's that fluid right now.
Right.
But it's really another year, after another year, where you should be really rating them, because by then, the ministers are new today. They don't, okay, they've completed 1 year, but still, they're new in this job.
Right. All right, Mahua, we'll leave it over there. We've run out of time, but thank you very much for coming in and helping us understand and also trying to rate with us the Modi government's performance. But we'll not do that. You're saying we'll wait for another year, let the ministers get their little time to get more into the act, as they say. Thank you very much for coming in and helping us understand this a little better.
Thank you.
Moving on now, AIADMK Supremo Jayalalitha will be sworn in as Tamil Nadu Chief Minister tomorrow. She met Governor K. Rajya today and staked claim to form government. Acquitted in a disproportionate assets case, she will be returning to the top post after a gap of 8 months.
The AIADMK legislature party elected Jayalalitha unanimously as its leader on Friday. The decision officially paved way for her return as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu after 8 months. In a first appearance in public in 8 months, the AIADMK chief drove from her post-garden residence to the Raj Bhavan to stake claim. Later, she paid tribute to party's founder M. G. Ramachandran's statue at Annasalai. Huge crowd of her supporters lined up since morning, celebrating Amma's return.
Feeling very happy. Tamil Nadu really has deserved the best, and Amma coming back will make Tamil Nadu again #1 state in India. Yeah, and it's a great sense of justice.
Soon after her election, Paneerselvam resigned from the post of Chief Minister. Jayalalitha is likely to take oath at 11 a.m. on Saturday at the Madras University. However, she needs to win a state assembly seat within 6 months of being sworn in. According to reports, she may also prepone the assembly polls, which is expected in less than a year. In September last year, she had to step down after being convicted in a disproportionate assets case. However, her acquittal by the Karnataka High Court this month lifted restrictions on her from holding any public post. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, it's been about a week since the tussle between the Delhi government and the Lieutenant Governor began, but there are still no signs of resolution. After the centre issued a notification today backing the Lieutenant Governor on bureaucratic appointments, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal hit back, accusing the centre of trying to rule Delhi through the back door.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has been told clearly by the central government that it is not essential for him to be consulted on matters like the appointment of key bureaucrats. In a notification issued on Friday, the centre said that Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung can use his discretion. It emphasized that matters like the Delhi police and the postings of bureaucrats are the turf of the Lieutenant Governor, who acts as a representative of the centre in the capital.
Mr. Kejriwal has to understand the power rests with LG. Under Section 239A, the power rests with LG. And he can't supersede that. And he is not above law and above the law of the land. And he has to understand that there is a way out for everything. I mean, there's a way out for everything, and there's a proper way to do things.
Kejriwal retaliated soon. He held a press conference, a first in months, to accuse the centre of trying to rule the national capital, keeping the LG as its face. He also claimed that the centre is trying to place its own people in Delhi.
दिल्ली में ट्रांसफर पोस्टिंग की इंडस्ट्री चला करती थी। लाखों रुपए, करोड़ों रुपए 3 महीने के अंदर दिल्ली की आम आदमी पार्टी सरकार ने इस ट्रांसफर पोस्टिंग इंडस्ट्री को बंद कर दिया। कभी एलजी साहब ने ये नहीं पूछा अरविंद दिल्ली में बिजली ठीक ठाक है, कभी नहीं पूछा अरविंद सबको बिजली मिल रही है, कभी उन्होंने पूछा सबको पानी में, ट्रांसफर पोस्टिंग हमको दे दो।
Meanwhile, other parties blamed both Aam Aadmi Party and BJP for creating the situation, which is steadily taking the shape of a constitutional crisis.
Unfortunately, instead of paying heed to the problems faced by the people, both Aam Aadmi Party and BJP, they are busy fighting each other. They don't want to answer the real questions as to what happened to the promises made by them before the elections.
The appointment of senior bureaucrat Shakuntala Gamblin as acting chief secretary last week had triggered a full-blown tussle between AAP and the Lieutenant Governor, with Kejriwal questioning Najib Jung's authority and accusing him of trying to take over the administration. With inputs from Anu Devan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, time for a very quick break right now, but coming up on the other side, the merger of the Janata Parivar hits a fresh roadblock over differences in sheet sharing in the Bihar Assembly polls. More on that on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Now, the merger of the Janata Parivar hit a fresh roadblock today. There are reports that even though Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar wants the merger to be finalized before the state goes to the polls, there are differences between him and Lalu Yadav over seat sharing. The meeting called to iron out the details of the merger was also postponed today. It could be now held on the 28th of May.
In his efforts to resolve the seat-sharing issue in Bihar, Samajwadi Party chief Mulayam Singh Yadav had called a meeting of Nitish Kumar and Lalu Yadav at his residence today. The meeting, scheduled for 11 a.m., however, failed to materialize. It was cancelled at the last minute as Nitish Kumar is reportedly unwell.
उनको आना था लेकिन आँख में उनकी दिक्कत है.
The meeting is now likely to be held on 28th of May. The postponement of the meeting has given the opposition BJP enough ammunition to attack Janata Parivar.
It is for them to decide if they want to get together. As far as the Janata Parivar is, it seems to be more a paper announcement. And every time there is something in terms of a merger, there are always two statements in the next few weeks speaking about delays or pointing towards what are the problems in it.
The Janata Parivar was formed in order to come up as a strong alternative to BJP in Bihar. But the failure of a seat-sharing agreement between Nitish Kumar and Lalu Yadav has created problems in the merger. Some senior leaders of the Samajwadi Party and even Mulayam's own family are reportedly unconvinced about the merger. This is Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
For all the other national stories, let's now take you nationwide. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar is on a two-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir to review the security situation in the state. The minister arrived in Nubra in the Ladakh region. Parrikar also conducted an aerial survey of the Siachen Glacier and interacted with the troops at the base camp. Parrikar is accompanied by Army Chief General Dalbir Singh Suhag. Agitation by the Gujar community in Rajasthan continues for the second day today over demands for reservation. The community leaders rejected the offer of talks by the state government. They've asked the state government to come up with a permanent solution. Gujar leaders are demanding 5% reservation in government jobs under the 50% legal limit. A special court on the coal block trial case granted bail to Congress leader Naveen Jindal, ex-Minister of State for Coal Dasari Narayan Rao, former Jharkhand Chief Minister Madhu Kora and 7 others. They were granted bail on a personal bond of 1 lakh rupees, asked not to leave the country. The CBI had said in a charge sheet that to win the coal block allocation for his firm, Jindal promised support to Madhu Kora. Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Raman Singh expanded his 18-month-old cabinet today. He inducted 3 new ministers, taking the strength of his total cabinet to 13. Governor Balramji Das Tandon administered the oath of office and secrecy to the MLAs. Well, time now for some international news. And the European Union and Ukraine have signed a $1.8 billion loan deal. Now, the deal requires Ukraine to adopt a series of reforms, including anti-corruption measures. And defying Russia's objections, EU hosted 6 former Soviet countries in the summit. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister David Cameron has pushed for EU reforms.
EU has agreed to a $1.8 billion loan to Ukraine. It is EU's largest financial deal with a non-member. The deal aims to revive cash-strapped Ukraine, which has been badly affected by fighting with pro-Russian rebels in the east. Despite Russia's objections, the summit hosted 6 post-Soviet nations.
Macrofinancial assistance programs follows already 2 other macrofinancial assistance programs amounting total of 1.61 billion euros, and it's actually the largest macrofinancial assistance program which has ever been committed to non-EU country.
3 of these, every single loan agreement that we enter into it, whether it's with the IMF, the World Bank, or in this agreement, there are reforms that are part of this effort.
However, issue of Greece crisis remained the center focus of the summit. Greek Prime Minister met the leaders of Germany and France, hoping to speed the resolution of the debt crisis. The Greek government states that a cash for reforms deal with the EU and IMF can be finalized in the next 10 days. However, German Chancellor Angela Merkel says much work still needs to be done.
The discussion was very constructive in a very good and friendly atmosphere. So I'm optimistic we can soon reach a long-term sustainable and viable solution without the mistakes of the past.
War ein sehr freundschaftlicher, konstruktiver Austausch, aber es ist auch klar, es muss weitergearbeitet werden mit den 3 Institutionen. Es ist noch eine ganze Menge zu tun. Frankreich und Deutschland haben Griechenland und dem griechischen Ministerpräsidenten angeboten, wann immer.
Meanwhile, British Prime Minister David Cameron is using the EU summit to campaign for reforms in the 28-nation bloc. This comes ahead of a planned referendum to decide whether Britain should stay in or quit the bloc. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, Islamic State militants made further inroads into Syria after capturing the ancient city of Palmyra. The militants have claimed stake over another key town bordering Iraq. Seeking Russian help in tackling the menace, Iraq said the world needs to formulate a clear political and military strategy to fight the group. US admitted that their growing power is proving to be a big challenge.
The Islamic State is fast gaining in strength in Syria. After capturing the ancient heritage city of Palmyra, it now claims control over Al-Tanf, a key border town near Iraq, pushing government forces on the back foot. The monitoring group Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the militants are now in control of more than half of Syrian territory following 4 years of civil war. IS has already captured Palmyra's military airbase and prison. A video posted on social media shows the militants inside a gas station seized from the government forces in Palmyra.
المنطقة اليوم هي منطقة ملتهبة متوترة ليس فيها حلول مطروحة ويبدو أن هذا الأمر سيستمر لعدة سنوات وهي معرضة أيضا لإمكانية التقسيم في بعض بلدانها.
IS has also made significant gains in neighboring Iraq, raising concerns in entire of Middle East. After capturing Ramadi, they're now pressing eastwards. Iraqi Deputy Prime Minister Saleh al-Mutlaq said the international community needs a clear political and military strategy to fight Islamic State. Iraq has sought Russia's support and backing in military technical areas, but Russia has denied any direct involvement on ground.
موضوع مقاتلة داعش أصبح واضح أنه ليس موضوعا محليا. يجب أن تكون هناك استراتيجية واضحة من المجتمع الدولي لمقاتلة داعش، وإلا فإن الخطر قادم على من يتصور أن الخطر لم يصله بعد ولن يصله.
Речь идет об инвестициях в миллиарды. Мы развиваем отношения и в гражданской части нашего сотрудничества, и в военно-технической области.
The US-led air campaign against the Islamic State has also faced major setbacks. Washington has said the militants are proving to be a difficult challenge, but did not lose hope in the fight against IS. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
More news from around the world now in Global Buzz. China has said it was strongly dissatisfied after a US military plane flew over part of the South China Sea near the area where China is building artificial islands. It also warned the United States to stop such actions or risk causing an accident. The development came after the Chinese Navy issued warnings to the US advanced surveillance aircraft as it conducted overflights on Wednesday. The series of man-made islands and massive Chinese military build-up on them have alarmed the Pentagon. A grand jury has returned charges against 6 Baltimore police officers in the death of Freddie Gray. 25-year-old Gray died of injuries while he suffered in police custody. The officers will be arraigned on July 2nd. The incident triggered waves of protests and riots across parts of the Baltimore city last month. Voters across Ireland went to the polls today in a historic referendum on same-sex marriage. If the vote is in favour, Ireland will become the first country in the world to legalise gay marriage by a national vote. The reform is backed by all political parties, championed by big employers and endorsed by celebrities. Homosexuality was decriminalised in conservative Ireland only in 1993. Well, let's now get you the latest action from the world of sports and Sports Beat. Former Portugal forward Luís Figo has pulled out of the FIFA presidential election race. His decision comes hours after Holland's Michael van Praag also had withdrawn, leaving only 2 people in contention. Only current President Sepp Blatter, who's bidding for a 5th term in office, and Prince Ali bin Al Hussein are now in contention ahead of the vote involving 209 national federations next week. The president of Italy's Amateur Football Association, Felice Belloli, was sacked following his controversial remarks against women footballers. FIGC voted Belloli on Thursday. Following the controversy, Belloli's comments came to light last week in a report on a football website which obtained a transcript of the meeting. World number 6 Milos Raonic and reigning French champion and men's doubles champion Julien Benneteau announced to pull out of this year's tournament due to injuries. Raonic has been forced to withdraw after failing to recover from a right foot surgery he'd been knocked out of the Madrid Open quarterfinals by Andy Murray 2 weeks ago. Benneteau will not be able to defend his men's doubles title due to an athletic pubalgia that has plagued him since March. Well, that's all from us. Goodbye.